Greetings, Alaska. I'm getting ready to get on a plane here in an hour or so, heading home for the holidays. Had to stay in DC a few extra days doing a Marine Corps physical fitness test, but now I'm going home. But I wanted to give an update on some pretty important news yesterday, and this related to what appears to be the final death knell of President Biden's so-called Build Back Better plan. It was really a $5 trillion socialist tax and spend piece of legislation that would, in my view, have been horrible for the country, horrible for Alaska. It would have supercharged inflation when we cannot afford that. An additional $5 trillion, if you did the numbers correctly, as the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office said, over 10 years, an enormous amount of money trying to, in their words, transform the entire country, even though they just have 50 US senators in the Senate. It would have given the richest Americans huge tax breaks, which is crazy, really socialism for the rich, but hurting the middle class. And it was very focused on the Green New Deal, super anti-energy, anti-energy workers, with a particular focus, yes, on our great state provisions that were specifically meant to shut down Alaska energy opportunities like ANWR, which we got done 4 years ago. So, Senator Joe Manchin, good friend of mine, West Virginia Democrat, announced yesterday that he could not vote for this bill. This is something I've been talking about with Senator Manchin on for months. I was glad to see that he made this decision. Good for his constituents, good for Alaska, as I mentioned, good for the country. He's taken a lot of incoming, as you can imagine, but he did the right thing. How did this happen? Well, look, as some of you know, part of our strategy was when the Democrats came together, many of them, particularly from the far left of the Democratic Party, wanted the hard infrastructure, roads, bridges, ports, airports, wanted that bill to be smashed together with the big socialist spending bill. Our strategy was actually to separate them. And we thought that by separating them, if you could get to that point, it would enable people like Joe Manchin to have more leverage, because he wanted to vote for the hard infrastructure bill, but really wasn't that interested in this giant socialist Green New Deal spending bill. We ended up doing that. You knew that it really negatively impacted the chances of the Green New Deal socialist spending bill passing, because you may have seen some of the far left in the House, in particular the so-called squad, didn't vote for the hard infrastructure bill because they knew it would end up giving senators like Joe Manchin more leverage, and it did. And so there was a number of people who thought, hey, if you voted for the hard infrastructure bill, which I think on balance will be good for Alaska, significant funding, broadband, ports, roads, harbors, airports, the ferry system. There were some people who thought if you voted for that, that was the pathway to actually having this Green New Deal socialist bill become law. Actually, those people actually had it backwards. By separating them and having that hard infrastructure vote, we, right now, for now, we're able to actually tank the so-called Build Back Better, which was this massive $5 trillion socialist Green New Deal tax cuts for the rich bill. And right now, it looks like that bill is dead. And that is great news for Christmas. By the way, it wasn't just Joe Manchin. There was 50 Republican senators plus Joe Manchin who killed that. And I think that's going to be really important for our state, really important for America, and it is really, really good news as we come into the holiday season. More to follow.